obviously at my age and older age, people do have arthritis issues. Mm-hmm. Okay. I have arthritis in my knees. I have some deterioration arthritis in my shoulders. And I have found through experience that when I eat sugar, my knees hurt. I have Charcot foot. My foot hurts. It throbs. The sugar has a negative effect on my joints. It is an inflammatory kind of food. I mean, people get addicted to it. They like the taste of sugar, but my body does not react well with sugar. The inflammation and the pain is not worth the sugar.
Granny, what does breakfast usually look like for you?
Well, when I'm not intermittent fasting, I have breakfast, and it is 1 whole egg and 5 egg whites, scrambled with mushroom and spinach. I love spinach. And I cook it in the microwave, and that's my breakfast.
What does your diet usually look like? I mean, I see on Instagram, you've got a huge Instagram following, extremely motivational stuff, and you're preaching the protein all day, which is what I love about you. It's awesome. Yeah. You know, in a world where there's people trying to say protein's not as important, and you got people like you that are just beating that drum, and it's awesome.
The protein. Oh yeah, you got to have the protein. I have my eggs in the morning. There's protein there. Post-workout, I was eating chicken with like honey mustard, but lately I've kind of gotten away from that. Now I eat a lot of fish, which is very high in protein and low in calories. Broccoli, cauliflower is one of my favorites. As far as vegetables, of course, I said it earlier, I love spinach, mushrooms. Those are my favorite vegetables. Every night before I go to bed, I make a big bowl of whey protein ice cream. That is my treat for the end of the day.
What goes into that?
Whey protein, water, sugar-free pudding mix, just a little bit to make it thick, some guar gum, xanthan gum, and some stevia. Throw it all in a blender with a bunch of ice and blend it up, and it makes this huge bowl of protein ice cream, and I change flavors every day. So I have variety. And that's my treat for the end of the day. Before I go to bed, I take my vitamins with my ice cream, and I'm good for the day. Now, every once in a while, I'll cheat a little bit. I like my protein bars. I will not deny it. That is one of my weaknesses. I love protein bars, good ones. And I might have one with my post-workout when I get home, from the gym, along with my fish. I might sneak one in there. Sometimes if I'm in a hurry for breakfast in the morning, I don't have time, I'll eat a protein bar before I go to the gym. But it's just like a meal replacement.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, what are your go-to protein bars? What are your favorites?
You really want me to say that? Okay.
Yeah, we don't have to plug any. It's not to plug a brand. I'm just curious.
I like Bear Bells.
Yeah,
I do
Trader
like Bear
Joe's
Bells.
Yeah.
I did try Built for a while, Built bars, but they're kind of too soft.
Yeah, they're really squishy.
Yeah, really squishy, and I kind of got away from them. Some of the Quest bars, like the mini Quest bars for like an 80-calorie snack, those are good. They stay soft. The birthday cake Quest bars are really soft. I like them. They have good flavor. And, when I go to the expos, ESN bars from Germany. Oh my gosh, that has got to be the best bar out there.
Those are amazing. Yeah.
And I've also recently, since we were at Mr. Beast, we tried the MMR or the MRE bars. Mm-hmm. They're not bad. Yeah. They're pretty good too. They're a little higher in calories.
They are.
And they're a little higher in carbs. But the flavor's there and the protein's there.
I have no fiduciary obligation to say this whatsoever, but have you tried a David bar?
David?
They're brand new. Like Peter Attia, Dr. Peter Attia is on the board. I think he's part owner of them. It's the lowest calorie to highest protein ratio bar on the market. It's I think it's 100 calories or 110 calories, and I think like 35 grams of protein. It's only like 1 gram of fat. Pure whey protein isolate. I just literally at the time of recording this just tried one last week, because Peter.
You have a sample? I'll try one.
I don't have one here, but I can have him send you some for sure, because Dr. Peter Attia and I are pretty close friends, and he told me, he's like, you got to try these out. So he had Zach, who's the CEO, send me a little box of them, and I just got my wisdom teeth out, so I'm like,
are they soft?
They're soft, but I'm trying to when I got them, it was 2 days after getting my wisdom teeth out, and I'm like, I'm going to make it work either way. So I just like put it and I just kind of masticated it in my mouth until it was in in the front of my mouth until it got soft and I was really able to actually eat one more legitimately yesterday. And I'm like, okay, it's probably not my favorite tasting bar. It might be like, it's probably second or third tasting, but the macro ratio on it, I just can't beat it. Like the calories to protein, because that's always what I talk about. It's just like, okay, it's not crazy complicated rocket science math. Like it's protein to calorie ratio is really what you got to look at. So yeah, you got to try one of those.
How much sugar's in them?
None.
No sugar?
No sugar.
Oh, I'll try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I watch my sugar. I have to watch my sugar.
So after today's video, I put a link down below for 25% off Seed's Daily Synbiotic. I'm a huge fan. It's the only probiotic that I personally use. And the interesting thing is they publish a lot of their own literature. So they publish their own clinical trials. And sometimes it doesn't work in their favor, but they publish it anyway because they are honest. And that's what I appreciate about them. But interestingly enough, it's the only probiotic that has this multi-stage delivery system where it has a capsule inside of a capsule. So when you think about probiotics, it's easy to think supplement company sham. But the reality is there is not a whole lot more in the world of supplements that is more vetted out than probiotic usage. The problem is most are destroyed in the gut. So that's what I like about Seed is they put their money where their mouth is with their technology, with their clinical trials, and also just with overall customer service and quality products. So that link is down below for 25% off Seed's Daily Synbiotic.
I want to talk about that for a minute because it's you said two things that really are interesting to me. Obviously, this is a major metabolic health channel. We do a lot of emphasis on periodic fasting and intermittent fasting. So you said one, you occasionally intermittent fast. You just kind of strategically do it. And then you also mentioned that you don't do well with sugar. And I want to talk about both those things. Let's talk about intermittent fasting first. How do you, at 68 years old, being jacked, being strong, being like obviously carrying a lot of muscle for someone your age, how do you implement fasting into your life?
Well, recently it's been, obviously I talked about having a big bowl of ice cream like as my last treat at the night. So it's not so much the time, like 16-hour, 18-hour, 12-hour fast, but a lot of times if I get up in the morning and I'm not hungry, I'll just go to the gym and not work out. And then I don't eat until after I work out. And I guaranteed it's 14, 16 hours, easy. And then I have my meals and I eat more of my food at the end of the day. And then again, in the morning, I may fast again. And just that routine, it seems to work. I don't get hungry and I still have energy at the gym. It's amazing. Some people can work out with nothing in their stomach. A lot of times I might get a little bit hungry and I'm like, okay, when we get home, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
Then I will. And I'll eat eat healthy, eat my fish, sneak my protein bar, have some vegetables, but definitely get the protein in.
The thing that I like about how you approach intermittent fasting is it's somewhat sporadic for you. It's not, I lost 110 pounds via fasting, right? That was like a big thing for me. And one of the reasons why my brand kind of took off the way that it did. And at that point, it was much more of a lifestyle of doing it kind of every day. But then, once you get in shape, it becomes sort of an additional lever that you can pull, right? It's like, okay, if I need to lean out a little bit more, then I fast a little bit more frequently. And you mentioned that. You said like it's something where you don't do it every day. You mentioned off camera, like you were prepping to go walk around at the Olympia and you wanted to kind of lean out. So would you just kind of throw it in a couple of days a week or what did you do? Or is it totally random?
About a week, maybe 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And once the body gets used to not having the food, then you don't get hungry. Yeah. So your body gets used to that routine and it gets easy.
Yeah. And it's, and we worked out this morning and I think all you had was just a little protein bar before.
We had to have something,
yeah.
Because yesterday I ate late, ate in the middle of the afternoon, and last night I wasn't hungry, and I'm not home to have my protein ice cream, so I didn't have anything, and this morning I just, had my vitamins and my cocoa, which was sugar-free, and just to get the vitamins down, and felt like I had to have something in my stomach because it had been guaranteed 12, probably 18 hours since I had anything solid in my stomach. So I had to put something in there.
So you inadvertently did what's called ETRF, which is early time restricted feeding, which is where you you essentially skip dinner versus skipping breakfast instead of like you did that somewhat accidentally. But that, believe it or not, is probably the most evidence-based way to fast for metabolic health is actually by skipping dinner. It's so for like from a longevity perspective, just because how that kind of the diurnal rhythms and circadian cues work. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of, if you haven't tried that, it's actually an interesting thing. You'll probably find you lean out really, really, really well by occasionally saying, you know what, I'm going to skip dinner tonight rather than doing it with skipping breakfast. Just kind of flip it on its head and occasionally be like, you know what, I'm just going to skip dinner tonight, because then you're going into your workout into a pretty deep fasted state. So the ability to pull from fat tissue and pull those fat reserves and the fatty acids is a little bit
works. Yeah.
It's,
it works.
And then talking about sugar for a minute, is this something that you've learned over time? I mean, because you make like these delicious protein cookies. You gave me one this morning, and
there's no sugar in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, so you've found just over the years that you just don't respond well with sugar. I feel like this is a message that probably needs to be heard.
Well, obviously at my age and older age, people do have arthritis issues. Okay. I have arthritis in my knees. I have some deterioration arthritis in my shoulders. And I have found through experience that when I eat sugar, my knees hurt. I have Charcot foot. My foot hurts. It throbs. The sugar has a negative effect on my joints. It is an inflammatory kind of food. I mean, people get addicted to it. They like the taste of sugar, but my body does not react well with sugar. The inflammation and the pain is not worth the sugar. So we do sugar substitute. We do stevia. We do Truvia, brown sugars. Truvia also makes a confection of sugar. It's sugar-free. There's no sugar. And the taste is still there. I mean, you can make healthy desserts and healthy foods without the sugar and still have the flavor. And that's what I do now. That way I can enjoy some treats and foods that are treats, the desserts, cheating things people think about, but they're not going to have a negative effect on my body.
Yeah. I mean, you're like the coolest granny ever. Like, that's so awesome. I mean, it's like, you know, people that are in the fitness world have to diet for a week before going to see grandma because they know that grandma's going to make good food, right? It's like with you, it's like
this grandma can make healthy food and it'll taste good, just like your cookie. And you tried that. Did you have a bite?
I had a bite. Yeah. And I usually cause I'm fasted right now. So I've worked out with you and I usually train fasted. It's just kind of, I feel better that way. I feel lighter and feel like I can move better. I won't get into the specifics because it always gets people upset if I start making the claim.
I do too.
But I feel better, and I feel like there's enough scientific evidence to show me that like I probably stay leaner because I train fasted. But all that aside, I also mentally feel clear when I'm on an empty stomach. So if I'm filming, so I just had one bite of the protein cookie, but I let it be known that thing is going down the gullet as soon as we're done filming.
I'm kind of like almost on a keto myself, and I think that helps with the brain fog also.
Definitely.
I just eat mostly protein, and the carbs that I do get are from vegetables. And I mean, I don't do bread or potatoes or anything like that. None of the heavier carbs. They do not sit well. Actually, I found through experience that they have actually made me sluggish. Yeah. They drag me down. So if I stick with the vegetables for my carbs and my protein and my healthy fats, I'm in good shape. And that's what works for me. I can't say that works for everybody, but because everybody's body's different.
Yeah, well, and the proof is in the pudding. And yes, everybody's body is different, but I do feel that a lot of times when it comes down to, because I'm a very low carb person myself, and I'm not afraid of carbs. I don't demonize them. I will have them, but I just generally feel better
once in a while.
Low carb. I just feel better that way, and no one can take that away from me. But I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding around low carb. I think it's the best way to put it. So people, when they, especially in the fitness industry, it's this, feel like you need to have carbs if you're going to go train hard. And that's just not the case. The evidence just doesn't really prove that. Like,
for some people, maybe.
But I feel like, where the evidence does seem to come in is a lot more mentally. Like, I feel like people, when they do have some, especially if they're younger and their metabolic machinery is working at its prime, and you can, for lack of a better term, incinerate those carbs really easily, it's a little bit of a different story. You got a 20 some odd person that's saying like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to wolf down some sugar before, because you probably will feel that, and you probably will get some energy out of it. But And I know I'm in my mid-30s and I can't make the same claims that you can make, at 68. But I feel it. I feel it in a negative way. If I eat a bunch of carbs or sugar before I train, I don't feel good. Things hurt, and I feel inflamed. And again, it's the operative words there is I feel. So like no one can take that away from us. But I feel like people sometimes don't want to give it a chance because they feel like the carbs are going to protect their gains and whatnot. So
Ryan's a classic example. Now he eats a lot of potatoes, bread, and he's stocky and he's built good. And it works for him to have the carbs. So like you said, everybody's body's different.
Yeah.
I mean, what works for us may not work for somebody else. He eats a lot of carbs and it works for him. And he's lean and he's bulky and he's very strong. And he has a lot of energy and he can push. But that works for him. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and it's and I think things do change as you get older, you lose some of your mitochondria. The mitochondria is kind of what's processing energy in essence. So I think a lot of people that I talk to as they get into their 50s, especially, they start finding like, carbs just don't work for me like they used to work for me. Like
our systems change as we get older, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, are you pretty active throughout the day, independent of your exercise? Like you've got horses. Like have you heard of the term non-exercise activity thermogenesis before? That's just not how many calories per se, but that's just how much energy you're expending throughout the day, independent of exercise, right? Like, are you a pretty active person?
I always have been, but now that I've gotten older, I find myself maybe sitting and reading or practicing my speaking or just doing bills and grocery shopping and things like that. But I do get up and move around a lot at the house.
Yeah.
I don't. If I sit down and try to watch television, I fall asleep. So I can't sit still too long. And I've also noticed, like even when we're on these trips in the airplane, if we sit too long, I get so stiff.
Yeah.
And I'm bored out of my mind. So I try to sleep on a plane. I can't sit still too long. I don't physically go out and do a lot because I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of different things. But like food prepping and cooking and dishes and just doing your normal house.
Horses? You got horses?
Well, the horses, I go down and feed them every morning. I go down and pet them and feed them. And I feed my chickens and my dogs every morning. And that's physical exercise because after I do my abs in the morning, that's the first thing I got to go take care of the animals. Got to go feed them. Yeah. They're down there waiting for their food. They want their food. Yeah.
No, I think that counts for a lot. I think that just being generally active and just, you were up until a year ago, you said in another video, you were, running an automotive business, right? So it's like you were probably on your feet. I mean, most of the evidence now, exercise is very important. Yes, 110%. But what's probably even more important from a longevity perspective is just remaining active. It's like when you look at the literature, it's so clear that like it's just being sedentary that's really, really the problem.
That's what tears people down. You got to keep moving. I mean, you have to do something. You can't just, be sitting on a couch and watching TV or just not doing anything, sitting around. That's probably the worst thing you can do, especially as we get older because the joints, the things are deteriorated. I mean, we deteriorate over age. With our age, our bodies break down. They don't work as well as they do. Cartilage wears away. Things wear away. And if you sit around, and not that I don't like sugar, but people like sugar and things swell up and then it's hard to get up off the couch. It's hard to do anything. You don't want to move. And that can become a really bad pattern and it's not healthy at all.
No.
So the best thing you can do is get up and move around because that keeps things lubricated, keeps the joints moving, and it helps.
And from a muscle preservation standpoint, I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it. It just comes down to it, right?
And the muscle strength also builds the bone density so that when we fall or if we get, have an injury, hopefully we're not going to break anything.
Yeah.
Classic example. I was in the gym sitting on a fly machine. The seat fell out from under me.
Ooh.
I hit the ground. Oh my gosh, that ground was hard. About 2 foot. I didn't break anything. Yeah. I had a massive bruise, but I didn't break anything.
Yeah.
So, that definitely exercise helps preserve and build bone density. Yeah, and that's a plus as we get older. We need that.
100%. Yeah. I keep throwing the science out here, but I mean the relationship with like all-cause mortality post hip fracture in people over 60, 65, it's ridiculous. It's just like, I mean, it's like once someone goes down and has a fracture,
they're done.
I hate to put it like that, but they kind of, a lot of times it's a death wish, and and I think it's a cascade of different things that happen, but then you're forced to be sedentary. So then what little muscle mass you may have had is, you're not using it, so it's gone. And then that's a metabolic sink for all your glucose and things to be able to handle your metabolism. Without the muscle, you're like I would make the argument that you, with the amount of muscle that you have, you probably have the metabolism of someone that's in their late 40s or 50s compared, because you've got, it's, have you ever done one of those, like, they're kind of cheeky, but the biological age tests, like that would be interesting for you to do. That's, I can't remember any of the brands like right offhand, but there's like tests where they look at blood markers, and they actually can determine your quote biological age. There's your chronological age, and then there's your biological age, which is based on your blood markers, these different molecules that are secreted by muscle mass and stuff like that, where they look at, well, based on your blood work, you're 45 years old. It's actually pretty cool. That'd be an interesting thing for you to do, and do it in private and see where you're at, and then say like, okay, I want to try to like, how do I reduce this age even more?
Because like a home test or something.
Yeah, for sure. You can do home test. Yeah, because it's just you can do a finger prick. You can do things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a number of people that talk about them. Some of the people not so scientific, but then it's also a very real scientific thing. Biological age is very credible and real, because at the end of the day, it's like chronological age is just chronological age.
It's just a number. Age is just a number.
Yeah, it's
all in your head.
Yep.
Exactly. Don't let that number fool you.
You mentioned briefly, you said, okay, this morning I had some my cocoa to get my supplements down, my vitamins down. What does your supplement routine look like?
Oh my gosh, I have a bowl of vitamins.
do you know what most of them are offhand?
Oh yeah. I take fish oils. I take CLA. I take green tea extract, and that actually is for my CLL, for my chronic lymphatic leukemia. It's helped keep that at a normal level. I read that somewhere, and I stay on green tea every day. I take NADs, True Niagen right now, which has helped with my arthritis in my knees. That has been a phenomenal product for me. They're here in California. That product, and I promote it to everybody because everyone I've given it to at the gym has had nothing but positive results. One way or another, the True Niagen, NADs have helped them in some way or another. And it's wonderful. It's helped me a lot. I was having trouble going up and down the steps with my knees hurting and stuff. And once I started with them, and that was February of this past year, I will not go off of it because it works so well.
Yeah.
I also take all kinds of things. I take collagen. I take biotin for my hair because last year my hair quit growing. It didn't grow. It didn't grow at all. Seriously, for a year it didn't grow, and I was like, "What's wrong with my hair?" And my hairstylist said, "Well, maybe I try taking some biotin." So I take biotin, and now my hair is growing. Yeah. I take an eye supplement because I can't see because I'm getting old. Glasses are becoming more and more of a thing. I take vitamin C every day, vitamin D, zinc for my immune system. What else do I take? There's a bunch.
I'm sure whey protein's in there, but
the whey protein's at night. That's my treat. That's my ice cream treat at night. As far as L-carnitine.
Beautiful.
I take L-carnitine. Yeah. I take creatine in my pre-workout before the gym. Yep. Absolutely. I do take a pre-workout before the gym, and I put the creatine in there with it, mix it up, and that's my pre-workout.
I noticed today when we trained, you opted, like me, you opted for like a non-stimulant pre-workout. Do you watch your caffeine, or do you just...
Well, I went through a phase where I wasn't watching my caffeine and I was taking in too much, and I was having a lot of headaches and dizziness and little attacks where I was having pain going up into my head, and I had to back off. And also we thought maybe that had something to do with my sleep patterns because I recently discovered that I may have sleep apnea. In fact, I'm scheduled for a sleep study test coming up here next month to see if I do have sleep apnea, but because I don't sleep all night long. So I don't get the rest I should get to recover. I'm up every couple hours all the time. And I never used to be like that. So my caffeine, I've really decreased it a lot. I watch that. I'm only allowed so much a day. I do take like a BCAA in the morning when I do my ab routine, but then pre-workout and the creatine before I go to the gym. And that's it for the day.
Yeah.
I do have maybe one amino blueberry lemonade. It's like a post-workout, but it's only got 100 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
So I keep it low. I think I'm under like 500 a day. But, and then with all my vitamins, like I said, now I take them in the morning and some of them at night also. Just got to keep this old body going.
Yeah, that's, there is something that I recently discovered for caffeine that actually I owe it to my man, Matt, who actually had turned me on to it. It's something called rutacarpine. It's a supplement, and it's not like rutacarpine's just, I guess technically it's I don't know if it's a herb or what it technically would be, but rutacarpine increases the metabolism of caffeine. So it upregulates, it's called the cytochrome P450 family of enzymes. So it's like CYP1A2 and CYP2E1, which are the enzymes that metabolize caffeine in the liver. And so if you take rutacarpine on a day where you had too much caffeine or you had it later in the day, rutacarpine essentially encourages the liver to metabolize it in about 2 or 3 hours versus the typical 9 to 12. So like even if you have caffeine early in the day, if you have a lot of it, like caffeine's staying in your system for 12 to 16 hours. Like people don't realize that. So if even if you, and I like caffeine, so I'm not bashing caffeine. I actually enjoyed this rutacarpine thing because I'm like, I like caffeine. Like I like how I feel with it for my training, but it was impacting my sleep too. I just started using it last week and it is an utter game changer. I didn't realize how much, if I'm going above 300 milligrams of caffeine, which I usually don't, I'm usually like 200-ish in the morning, like past 9 a.m., my sleep is disrupted significantly. And that rutacarpine, taking it around like 4 p.m. just to kind of evacuate any additional caffeine, which, you know, you don't feel it other than it just gets it out of your system. So it's not having that sort of underlying effect on your sleep that you don't feel. You know,
so you sleep better now?
Yeah, I've been sleeping better since I've been taking, I take 1,000 milligrams of tryptophan, I take 400 milligrams of theanine, and I take 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. So and that's recently has been a very powerful cocktail that has, knock on wood, had me sleeping pretty much like, I'll go now 5 hours straight through before I have to pee.
I had that problem. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And then I can go back to sleep. Well, that's the operative thing. I can go back to sleep, you know, for another like 2 hours or so. So I like on average, I get about 7. But before it was like I'd go 2.5 or 3 hours and then I'd have to pee. And then I'd lay in bed for an hour trying to fall back asleep. And then it would be very broken after that. So what I found is that this is putting me into definitely a deeper state of sleep where I'm not getting, I think the theanine is having an effect on sleep disturbances. I'm not waking up with every little rustle that my wife would make in the sheets or something like that. So I can like drag it out 5 or 6 hours until I wake up to pee, which I have noticed if I get 5 or 6 hours straight unbroken, that is gold.
It's like a shock.
That is gold. Yeah. Cause like, I don't care so much about, I mean, I do. I care about getting the collective total amount of sleep, but I am here to tell you that based on my experience, if you can, it's just those solid long spurts that you can get. Like if I could get up after that, like if I got 5 hours straight unbroken,
you're rested.
I'd be good. I'm rested. It's better than going 2 hours on, 1 hour off, 2 hours on, 1 hour.
Yeah, that's pretty much been my pattern. Like I'll fall asleep on my couch, on my massager, because it feels good on my back and my neck. And I'll sleep there for maybe an hour and a half at the most. Then I'll go to bed and I'll be up 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's 2.5 to 3 hours later.
Yeah.
And then toward the end, it might be whatever the rest is till it's time to get up. Yeah. And it's broken sleep. And it's like every night.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm ingesting too much caffeine.
Yeah. It could just be, I mean, there is an age-related relationship with that too. I have found, and there is evidence that when you, like if you fall asleep, even for a moment, and then get up and then go to bed. It's like you've started the sleep patterns, the sleep waves have cycled or started the cycle. So then it's really hard to get restorative sleep, because most of the, like if you look at what like Matthew Walker, he's a sleep scientist out of Berkeley. He talks about it all the time. He's like, you don't want to, he calls it missing the boat. It's like if the sleep pressure is building, even if it's, 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. in an ideal situation, if that sleep pressure is building, go to bed. Like go to bed before you fall asleep on the couch, and then, wake up and go to bed, because you've already started the cycle. So you're like kind of going to sleep into a different wave. So everything's distorted, which has been really hard for me, because I'm the same way as you. Like if I sit down and like watch TV, forget it. I'm going to last 20 minutes on a show. It drives my wife nuts. I'll just pass out.
Don't see anything.
So it's like, forget it. So then it's like, okay, well, I have to come to grips with the fact that like maybe I have to go to bed before my wife, because like if I feel the Sandman coming on, I'm like, all right, peace. I got to go to bed, which is hard to do.
I don't have a problem with going from the massager to bed and going to sleep. I don't have any problem going back to sleep.
Yeah.
It's just staying asleep.
Yeah.
That I just keep waking up. Even here, I was up 3 times last night.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be tired from the jet lag and this and that. I was still up 2 or 3 times. It was 3 times last night.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. And I look at the clock. I'm like, okay, normal pattern. That's my pattern, unfortunately.
Just riding that wave.
Well, I don't know if it's because we don't need as much sleep, but I think we do as an athlete. I should be sleeping straight through to get the recovery.
Brand new study. I'm probably driving you crazy with the studies, but this is brand new. As of, I want to say like last week. Athletes, as well as people on a low carb diet, Menno Henselman's actually just posted this. Did you see it? Actually require less sleep.
Really?
Now, athletes that's big category there, right? Obviously, if you're an extreme athlete that's really training with a high training demand, you're going to need more sleep. The point is that a healthy individual with healthy metabolic function and or someone that is low carb is going to require less sleep. And there's effects on different receptor proteins and different things at like a molecular level. But essentially, like the healthier you are and the healthier your metabolism is, who would have thought you actually don't need as much sleep? It's just not a license to go get as little sleep as possible, but it does make sense. Like if you're an inefficient machine because you're unhealthy and you're not taking care of yourself, like you're going to need
sluggish.
You're inefficient at recovering too.
Yeah, true.
So it's finding that balance. So there could be like, I went years and years and years being like, I'm fine with 6 hours. Like after like 6 to 7, like after 7, it actually starts to become almost too much sleep for me. And I feel a little sluggish, but I also just attributed that to just being kind of type A and just being like, all right, it's time to go. But I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, because the healthier I've got, the less sleep I've needed.
Yeah.
The more I've gotten into this bodybuilding and within the past year, I've noticed that's when I've not been sleeping as well.
Yeah.
But I don't feel any more tired.
Yeah.
Except like I'm sitting on a plane or sitting in a doctor's office and I can just conk out because it's boring. But, they say that's part of the sleep apnea. I don't know.
It could be.
We're going to find out.
They thought that with me for a while too. And just because they're like, oh, well, you've got enough muscle on you that maybe you're having like a sleep apnea effect. And it wasn't the case. Like my breathing was okay. It was just an active brain, but it's
we're just catching a nap when our body wants it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does.
Definitely.
Sometimes.
Well, Granny, where can everyone find you?
Just look up Granny Guns. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you'll find me.
Perfect.
It's not hard to find.
Well, thanks for coming out, and thanks for the awesome workout as well this morning.
Oh, that was fun.
Cool. Thanks.
That was great. Thank you.